Over 2 years ago, a crippled airliner with all engines out drifted to a miraculous landing on the Hudson River. The cause of the near disaster? Birds. Now a project is underway that may attract flocks so close to New York's LaGuardia Airport that it's given flight to new safety fears there. CBS News correspondent Elaine Quijano is at LaGuardia with that story for us this morning. Elaine, good morning.
Good morning to you, Chris. That's right. The plant is coming under fire from advocacy groups. They're concerned that a trash facility so close to one of the runways here will increase the possibility of bird strikes. At issue is the construction of a garbage facility set to open in 2013, just 2,200 feet from LaGuardia Airport, runway 31. Under Federal Aviation Administration regulations, these facilities are prohibited within 2,500 feet of a runway. In special cases, though, that zone shrinks to 1,700 feet.
It's a disaster waiting to happen.
Critics fear that tons of garbage will attract wildlife, setting the stage for a potential bird strike disaster. Lawyers for an advocacy group have filed a complaint with the Federal Appeals Court, hoping to halt construction of the transfer station.
Locating a city garbage transfer station that will attract birds on the edge of an airport runway is a monumentally stupid idea.
In January 2009, Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger famously averted disaster by guiding a U.S. Airways jet to safety shortly after taking off from LaGuardia and striking a flock of Canada geese. All 155 people on board survived.
Project.
New York City officials, all too familiar with the miracle on the Hudson, are not worried about the possibility of the garbage plant attracting birds.
Geese are a real problem, but they are a problem all around wherever you have water. We don't think that the FAA doesn't think that there's anything dangerous about it.
The FAA, meanwhile, released a statement defending claims that it shrunk the size of the runway protection zone to accommodate the project.
I don't believe the FAA would make a decision that would increase the likelihood of bird strikes. They make these decisions based on science and analysis.
The city insists it will take steps to make sure the facility is bird-proof, but opponents vow to continue fighting the project. Chris.
CBS's Elaine Quijano at LaGuardia Airport for us this morning. Elaine, thank you. And joining us now is CBS News aviation and safety expert Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger, who, as Elaine just reminded us, knows a thing or two about bird strikes. Sully, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. Good to be with you.
On the surface, this just sounds like a bad idea. Your thoughts?
Well, it is a bad idea. One of the things we've learned is that one of the few ways to mitigate the bird problem is to not put anything near an airport runway that's likely to attract birds. And so putting a trash facility this close to one of the busiest runways in the nation just doesn't make sense. It's really a terrible idea. It should be put much farther away.
I think at any airport this would raise some concern, but they're actually doing it. It's at the airport that you took off from when you had your bird strike. I mean, you would think
that's true. And it's also located right. It's also located right on the water. Even an enclosed facility is going to attract birds. And so by choosing to put this kind of facility so close and then relying on essentially Band-Aid kind of mitigations that we're hoping will be perfect, and the real world is messier than that. And there will be some trash that will be spilled. It may not be cleaned up right away. Birds are smart, and they'll learn that there's a source of food there.
This project is obviously already under construction and underway. What now needs to be done to prevent another incident like the one that you had to endure?
I think this project needs to be moved and put somewhere farther from a runway so it will not pose even a small additional risk to all the airplanes that use that runway for takeoff and for landing.
But it looks like that's not going to happen. So, I mean, what can be, the FAA, I'm sure, has some type of idea. What type of measures can be taken? Is there anything that can be done? I mean, if it's there, it's there. Is it just something that pilots are now going to have to be more alert about?
It certainly is, and again, those mitigation procedures that they are going to have in place to try to keep birds from being attracted to it any more than they naturally would have to be enforced very strictly. It's going to have to be a pristine facility.
One of the, the arguments against was your incident. You had Canadian geese, which are bigger birds that flew into your engines. They're not attracted to garbage. Seagulls are attracted to garbage. They're much smaller birds. I know this all sounds kind of gross, but is there a difference with what bird hits what engine?
You know, a number of decades ago, there was a tragic crash in Boston that involved starlings. But if you have a big flock of small birds, they can do tremendous damage.
Okay, so either way, it's just not a good situation. Captain Sully Sullenberger, thanks so much. We appreciate you taking the time. Good talk to you.
Good being with you.
Yeah, you hate to talk about birds going through engines of planes. I mean, there was obviously a big safety concern involved, but it's, you know, again,
scary thought.
We know what it's like out here to begin with at these airports.
Yes.
A lot of birds in the area, and this is just going to bring more.
That's for sure.